Hello everyone. Today's session is on designing a blueprint before making your question papers. Recently, I was surprised when I went to a school and asked the teachers for the blueprint of question papers. The response I got was that they don't make a blueprint. That was very surprising. And some teachers were also saying that they make the blueprint after making the question paper. Now, remember, the blueprint is supposed to be made before making the question paper. There is a process by which the blueprint is made, and it is made for a purpose. So, if you are making a question paper randomly without making a blueprint, then this session is for you to understand how to make a blueprint, why it is important, so that you make a good question paper as per CBSE protocols. So I want to welcome each one of you who's attending this session right now, and I hope this session is going to be useful for many people who are trying to design a blueprint. So first of all, the objectives of this session is very clear. We need to understand the importance of making a blueprint for making question papers. And we have two very important concepts here. One is the learning objectives and one is the learning outcomes. So we need to align our question paper with the learning objectives. What is our objective? That is very important. The question paper should be set in a way so that our learning objective and learning outcome is aligned. Okay. And we need to understand what is the weightage, whether it is MCQ, short answer type of questions, long answer questions, very long answer. So these kind of questions have to be included, and CBSE is now giving focus on competency-based questions. So you need to know what are the type of questions that you need to set. And of course, the paper has to be balanced, which means that the difficulty level should be such that every student can attempt that. That means you should have questions which are easy, moderate, difficult, and very difficult, right? The higher order thinking skills should be there, but the percentage should be about 15 to 20% of the whole paper. So it is important that we have a balanced paper. Otherwise, what will happen? The paper will become too tough or too easy. So that shouldn't be the case. That is why this blueprint is very, very important. And we are also going to discuss today the practical techniques to avoid common mistakes in question papers. Whenever there is a question paper, the students have a lot of complaint. This came out of syllabus, or the paper was lengthy or tough. So how to avoid all that pitfalls, we are going to analyze in today's session. Today's purpose is obviously to design a well-balanced paper. And that is why this blueprint is very, very essential. And so for that, you need to know the curriculum, because all the questions that you are setting has to be based on the curriculum. If you are teaching class 5, for example, you cannot take up a question of class 6 and 7. If you're teaching class 10, you cannot put an 11, 12 question there. So there has to be a question based on the curriculum. It can be of difficult level, yes, but the formulas used or any concept which is at the higher class cannot be given in a question paper designed for that class. So it is important that there is the curriculum of the class has to be known by the examination setter. Whoever is setting the question paper needs to know the curriculum in and out thoroughly. So make sure that whether you are following the rationalized syllabus or deleted syllabus. I am surprised that still in our WhatsApp groups and some people still ask what is the syllabus. It is on the CBSE website, and this syllabus is, in the new rationalized syllabus is already there since last year. In spite of that, there are many queries regarding the syllabus, because old textbooks are used, teachers are not updated, students are not updated, parents don't keep a track of what is the syllabus. So this session is very important because the question papers need to be set from the rationalized syllabus of the present year. So making a good question paper is an art, okay, and it will reflect basically a teacher's personality and how thorough the teacher is with the curriculum, and the learning objectives is followed, Bloom's taxonomy is followed or not, and it reinforces effective learning. So question paper is a part of a learning process. So if you don't make a good question paper, we will not be able to get the correct results of the assessment, right? So on that note, I want to go further in the session by saying that a blueprint is very important for designing a question paper. It's basically a roadmap. Unless you make the blueprint and you just directly make a question paper, our purpose may be defeated. So it ensures that all the important topics are there in your questions. So if you are having inconsequential topics and the weightage given there is more, then that doesn't serve the purpose, because the CBSE has already given the minimum learning outcomes. So the learning outcome, if the minimum learning outcomes are not tested in your question paper, that means the question paper is lacking in some way or the other. So it is important that important topics are covered in your question paper. You need to maintain the balance of your question paper, and it should have questions, as I said, Bloom's taxonomy. We cannot run away from that. Knowledge, understanding, application, and skill. All the four parameters of assessment should be there. Remembering facts, so those are coming under the easy category. What is knowledge based? That should be there. Then after knowledge comes understanding. If you understand the question, then only you will be able to solve. Then comes the application, and then the analysis of the skill or the higher order thinking skills. So overemphasis of one particular area is bad, right? So if you're giving too many tough questions, too many understanding questions, or too many application-based questions, then that is not a good question paper. So overemphasis should not be there. It should be a balanced paper, and it should comprehensively evaluate your students correctly. So if 50% of the class is failing in your class, that means there is something wrong with either your teaching methodology or your question paper. So the question paper should be such that all the students should be able to attempt, understand, and attempt the questions and give the answers, at least attempt it. Everybody may not get 80-90%, but nobody should complain that these are the questions which are not from the curriculum. Then it becomes a problem. So overemphasis should not be there on any particular topic, and a fair evaluation should be done with the help of the question paper. So to understand the curriculum, first of all, we need to go to the CBSE website and download the curriculum. If you have not done that, please do that. That is very important. Learning objectives has to be known for every chapter, every topic. What are the objectives of that? That should be known by the examination in charge and also the person who is setting this. So a well-crafted question paper will be a tool on what is the learning outcome, right? The objective was there. Now, after the exam, we will be able to understand whether those learning objectives have been fulfilled. And how is that? From the marks of the students, we'll be able to get this data. We'll be able to analyze how many students are getting above 60%, how many are getting below 40%, how many are getting above 90%, and so on. So it is important that we are able to get the correct guidelines for making the blueprint. So it is, remember, a good question paper is just not a piece of paper with a lot of questions. It should encourage deep thinking. Okay, not that all your questions are easy and direct. No, there should be some questions which are thought-provoking, deep thinking, problem solving, like we have case studies, assertion reasoning questions should be there, right? And the question paper should have basic questions and also higher order thinking skills. The students should be able to rack their brains and find out. Not that, if you are, let's say, a maths teacher, everything is straight away lifted from the book and the student is memorizing some answers and giving the question paper's answers. So that is not a correct assessment. Then they will say, sir, you gave questions outside the textbook. So that is the wrong way of teaching and wrong way of assessment. So there has to be modified questions. The numbers cannot be identical because we are not mugging up questions and rewriting that, right? So when we are assessing these answer sheets, we will be able to find out how much of what we have taught is understood by the students. Because in the classroom, sometimes they will say yes, yes, but when it comes to the exam, they were not able to do. And we are surprised that we had put in so much effort, but where has the effort gone? So the answers that they write, the way they write, gives us an indication of the learning levels that has been achieved by them, right? So how do we create a blueprint? Steps to create a blueprint. First of all, identify the key topics from the syllabus. The syllabus is vast. Sometimes the chapters have so many concepts, we will not be able to test all. But what is important is that all the main concepts, the basics, the fundamentals need to be tested. Otherwise, the question paper is not of worth, because unless the concepts are tested, our minimum learning outcomes are not tested, the concepts are not tested, the question paper does not serve the learning objectives or the outcomes. So, and weightage should be given to the topics. Okay, certain chapters will carry more weightage. Not that if you are having 10 chapters, all of them will be 5 marks each. Okay, some will be 1 mark, some will be 8 marks, some will be 10 marks. Identify the type of questions, like MCQs can be there, short answer, long answer, very long answer, assertion, reasoning, case studies, match the following, fill in the blanks. So many types of questions. Variety has to be there in the question paper. And then we will allot marks and plan out a time. Okay, this is section A, this is MCQ. This should be finished in 15 minutes. The examiner and the a person who is setting the question paper need to align this, because unless the time management is there for the sections, the student will obviously not be able to finish it. So it has to be a realistic question paper where the student is able to finish that. So certain sections are there, these many questions are there, what will be the difficulty level and how much time is it going to take to finish that. So this is very important, that and otherwise it always we get complaints, sir, the paper was very long, or paper sometimes if 3 hour paper they are finishing in 2 hours. That is also a problem. So this is important that we balance the paper. So when we are balancing the paper, the students are happy. We also find evaluation easy, and also the students get that satisfaction of giving a good paper because they have prepared it in that way. That is why sample papers are released. CBSE releases sample papers, right? So we get an idea of what is the actual question paper. So one of the things that you need to avoid definitely is too many easy or too many difficult questions. If you're putting too many easy, it's going to be a cakewalk for the students, and we are not going to get realistic picture of the learning process that has happened. And if it is very tough, also there is problem, because the students will get confused, and they will not be able to attempt, and they will be discouraged. So too many easy or too many difficult, both are not advisable. And of course, time management is very important. Even when we instruct our students, it is very important to tell them that, okay, section A has to be done in this much time, section B in so much time, and so on, so that they are able to complete the paper in whatever is the stipulated time. Common pitfalls. So the common pitfalls that I have observed is that avoid ambiguity in the question. Sometimes the questions are so difficultly framed or poorly framed, I would say, that what is going to happen is that the student is not able to understand what is the desired output of that. So ambiguity should not be there, that, okay, this is possible, this is also possible. There should be clarity. Okay, this is what is expected in this question. Then over reliance, too many, okay, you are having a 50 mark paper and 30 MCQ should not be there. 30 marks and then 20 marks for the other questions. So it has to be a balanced paper. And of course, I had mentioned setting unrealistic time. Okay, we are having 50 questions and do it in 3 hours. So that becomes a little challenging. Of course, as I said, they need not be of all MCQs or all short answer or all long answer. There has to be a mixture of different type of questions. And so it is very important that we ourselves solve the question paper and see what is the time taken to complete the paper, because you may do it faster than the student, obviously, right? So you have to give some extra time, considering that the student is not as good as the teacher, right? So it is, and you also have to take the average of the class. It's not that you are taking consideration only of the brilliant students of your class. So realistic time limits has to be there, and of course, avoiding out of syllabus or very complicated questions should be avoided at all stages whenever we are making question papers, because nobody is going to do it, and it's serves no purpose except to satisfy the ego of the examination setup, right? And the last part is the review and the testing part. So once you make the blueprint, the question paper is made, it is important that this is reviewed properly. So a peer review. So suppose you are 3, 4 of the same department, you can show it to them if your school allows that. and find out what is the mistake, take suggestions from them positively, ask them if something has to be deleted or something has to be added. So peer review is very good, because sometimes we are, from our point of view, it is good, but when our colleague tells, okay, remove this question, add this question, and this is poorly framed, rewrite it, I think we need to take it positively, and we'll be able to make better question papers. And sometimes also in some schools, they have to show it to the coordinator. The coordinator gives you some suggestions. You have to make it accordingly. I think these are all positive ways to improve the quality of our question papers. So once the question paper is made, it is important that we match the question paper to the blueprint. So it has to match exactly, and the time management, everything, cross check for spellings, grammatical errors, very important. If a question paper has a grammatical error or there is a spelling error, it is reflecting very poorly on the teacher. So it's important that you check 10 times or 20 times, I would say, that there is no grammatical error or no spelling mistakes or no poorly framed questions, because this question paper that you're setting for your students is actually going out of your school, and there are so many other parents and other teachers of other schools who have access to this, and it reflects very poorly on the school as well. So as teachers, we need to take precautions of not making any grammatical errors or spelling errors or poorly framed questions in our question papers. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. For example, now, if suppose I have to give you a mathematics example, we are dividing the syllabus. Now, let's say this is a primary class. So 5 chapters, I want to give a question on 5 chapters. So I'm going to say, okay, so first of all, how much percentage from each chapter? So if it is, you see this, it's not equally divided at 20-20. So I have taken, like, say, numbers 20%, addition and subtraction, I've given more weightage 25%, geometry 15, time and management 20, data handling. So first thing is that you need to divide these whole chapters and decide that which chapter will have how much percentage of the questions. Okay. Then we'll determine the weightage of the chapters. So when we have to assign marks, so the higher weightage is obviously given to the critical or the difficult areas of the syllabus. So we need to make a fair assessment. So here we will give, not now, first slide I showed was in terms of percentage, now marks. Okay, so 10 marks for numbers, 15 marks for this. Addition and subtraction, 10 marks for geometry, 10 marks for time and measurement, data handling, 5 marks. So percentage is there as well as the actual marks is there. So I'm going to decide this before making the question paper. Then the type of question. What is the type of question that I want for my question paper? That also I will decide. Whether it is MCQ, fill in the blanks, match the following, short answer type, 1 mark questions, long answer type questions, or mixture of questions have to be added in this. Assertion, reasoning, higher order thinking skills, all this. And you also need to mention the word limit. You have to explain, okay, if it is an MCQ, just write the answer. No need to write one-page answers. Many students are not able to complete their paper because they are writing elaborate answers even for MCQ, whereas only the option, correct option is required. Okay, so I have 1 mark question, fill in the blanks, only that is there. Match the following. All these questions should be done fast. Then you have short answer, long answer, and all that. Then you have to tell the student that, okay, they should be written in about 5 lines or 6 lines or 10 lines, depending on the weightage. So that the child is able to complete the paper and give justice to the paper. Not that for a short answer, they are writing 1 page, and for a long answer, they are writing 3 lines. So all this has to be explained to the student, and the weightage of this questions will also be according to that. So MCQ will be obviously 1 mark, fill in the blanks will be 1 mark, match the following will be 1 mark. So if you have short answer, that could be 2 marks, long answer can be 4 marks, very long answers can be 5 marks, and so on, right? So this is the different types of question papers. Then next is the difficulty level. So many things are there. So first you are thinking about the percentage, marks, then the topics, and now comes the type of questions and the difficulty distribution. How many questions will be of easy category? How many will be moderate? How many will be difficult? How many will be very difficult? You have to assign a percentage for that. Okay. So this is just to help you to make a simple paper. Like easy can be 40%. This is not, something which is prescribed by anyone. This is a random thing which you can decide for yourself. Okay, so 40% why we are keeping easy, so that the students can at least get the passing marks. Moderate, which everyone more or less will be able to do, 40%, and difficult, that is the higher order thinking skills, should be about 20%. So this is just a random weightage. So you will get something like this. So you have 4 sections. This is the marks and then the difficulty level. Okay, section B, section C, section D, you can divide it into different sections based on the difficulty level and the type of questions and the marks. So you have to create this. So I'll be showing you the overall picture right now, how the blueprint appears. And as I said, don't make question papers without studying the Bloom's taxonomy. That means all the questions that you are making should be based on the 4 parameters: knowledge, understanding, application, and skill. So remembering, okay, anything like what is the capital of India, that is, you are learning up the answer and doing. Or what is the formula of volume of cone? These are all questions which are based on remembering. Then questions based on understanding. If you've understood the concept, then do this. Okay, you are applying this information, you are giving some information. Based on that, you have to calculate something, that is applying. Then analyzing something, that is like assertion, reasoning, and so on. You are analyzing the situation and giving a suitable solution for that. Then evaluating, creating, that is the higher order thinking skills, where case studies can be given and so on. So Bloom's taxonomy, not going into the detail of that, but I'm sure as teachers you all know that what are the parameters involved in the Bloom's taxonomy. So this is just a small example of remembering what is 5 plus 7. So this is just a fact that they know that this is simple addition. Now, if you are explaining the step of addition, you are giving it in a little more stepwise procedure algorithm, that becomes understanding. Then you are giving a real world problem. Okay, as he goes to the market and buys 5 apples and 7 more apples from somewhere. What is the total number of apples? So that means you are not just giving the question 5 plus 7. You are putting it into a problem, a real world problem, which involves addition. Then comparing addition and subtraction. So you can have 2 cases, and in both cases, the child has to distinguish whether you have to add or subtract. So the child understands what is the difference between addition, the value gets increased, and subtraction, the value gets decreased. And then evaluating and creating, it's a word problem which may involve both addition and subtraction, right? So I'm giving I bought 7 apples, then I again bought 5, and then I'm giving 3 to someone on the way. So that becomes a little more trickier question where addition and subtraction is involved. So this is basically a checklist now. Once the blueprint is created, you need to check whether the entire syllabus is covered. Number one, whether the student will be able to do the complete paper in the stipulated time. Is it practical? Is it balanced? Is it effective? All the topics that are specified in the curriculum is covered. Are the learning objectives covered? Is the distribution of the marks fair? Okay, and different, is it or all the cognitive levels checked, easy, tough, moderate, all that is there. Can the paper be completed in the stipulated time or before time, in fact? And are there questions which can distinguish the high and low performers? That is the 20% of the paper, competency-based questions or the higher order thinking skills questions, where only the top performers of the class should be able to attempt that, because the rest will try that, and obviously they may not be able to do it, because the paper, it should be such that everyone does not get 90%, right? Even in boards, you will find that there are a few questions which is little difficult as compared to the rest of the paper, because they don't want everybody to become a high achiever. Otherwise, the meaning of that word high achiever is lost, right? So the question paper should be such that a few questions from the whole set that you are preparing should be of difficulty level, which can be done only by high achievers. Okay, then the final question paper is going to be ready. Check for the language. It should be concise. As I said, spelling errors should not be there. Grammatical error should not be there. The paper sections, the general instructions should be properly explained to the students, before the question, that section A carries so many marks, section B is so many marks. If there is a word limit, put that. And write down the total time allotted, total marks and all that. There should be absolute clarity in your question paper. So this is just, I have taken a screenshot of the from the CBSE website. This is the question paper design of class 10, where they have applied Bloom's taxonomy. So if you see here, remembering, understanding, 43 marks, applying problems to new situations, 19 marks, analyzing, evaluating, creating, 18 marks out of 80. And in terms of percentage, 54, 24, and 22. So approximately 20% of your paper is of the higher order, and about 54% is for the average, and applying and all that, analyzing 24% is for the moderate. So see, the paper is well balanced. And ultimately, what is going to happen is that when you're creating a blueprint chapter wise, this is how it looks. So we have VSA, very short answers, essay, short answers, 2 marks short answer, 3 marks long answer, and so on. This is just an example to show you. So if you are saying number systems, the total marks, if you see, 4, and the number of questions is 2. In brackets is the number of questions. So you have one very short answer. That means you have an MCQ from that chapter, and you have a 3-mark question, one 3-mark question. So you have 1 plus 1, 2 questions, but the weightage of this chapter is 4. So that's how you tell the students that this is how you give the blueprint to the students. And then in algebra, the second chapter, you see there are 3 questions of 1 mark each. And here there is 1 question of 2 marks, right? Here there is 1 question of 2 marks. Here there are 3 questions. So that is coming to 9 marks, because 1 question is 3 marks each. And here you have 1 mark, 1 question of 6 marks. So total, if you see, this is 20 marks. And here you have 8 questions from this chapter. So like this, I will be able to explain to whomsoever that this is what your blueprint is. So in the brackets is the number of questions, and outside the bracket is the marks. So here you have all the marks here, and this is totaling up to 80. And inside the bracket, you are having the total number of questions from each chapter. So you have the total weightage of this chapter. So trigonometry is 12 marks, coordinate geometry is 8 marks, geometry 16 marks, mensuration 10 marks, statistics and probability 10 marks, and 4 questions from this. So this is just an example to show you how a blueprint is made based on the chapters, number of questions, and the total marks from each chapter or each topic, right? So I hope you will be able to make a blueprint like this before you actually make the question paper. So another one I will show you. This is a blueprint, a sample blueprint of a paper. So this is subject is given, and here it is based on the chapter wise we have given. So computer hardware, 2 marks. So you have 1 question based on knowledge, 1 question based on understanding. So here they have incorporated Bloom's taxonomy also in the blueprint, which is the best way of representing a blueprint for any question paper. Chapter number 2, you see, you have understanding. There is 1 question of 2 marks. And here there is a very short here question. Here also 1 question here, 2 questions. And total is 4 marks. So 2 marks here and 2 marks here, 4 marks. Like this can be created. So total we have here, this is the total 5 questions of 1 mark each, 5 questions of 2 marks each. Here we have very short 5 marks 1 and 5 questions of 4 marks each. Total 40 mark paper. So this is a 40 mark paper. Time is given here, 2 hours, class is given. Right. So this is an example of incorporating Bloom's taxonomy in the blueprint itself. So you have chapters, you are based on knowledge, understanding, application, skill. You can put these parameters. Then you have the type of questions. Okay. So you have MCQ, short answer, long answer, very long answers like that. And the summary is given here as per this question paper. So long answer 20 marks, short answer 10, very short answer 10. Okay. So this is how we make the blueprint. So I hope the making of the blueprint is clear based on the Bloom's taxonomy, and also what are the things that you need to be careful before making the question paper. So I want to conclude by saying that a good blueprint acts as a roadmap for creating an effective and fair question paper. It always assures that our learning objectives are aligned with the learning outcomes. If the learning outcome and learning objectives are different, then the question paper doesn't serve any purpose. So on this note, I want to wish you all the best, and I hope you will make good question papers by designing good blueprints, which is going to be balanced, which is a mix of easy, moderate, and difficult. It is achievable within the given time, and it is useful for all the students as well as the teachers when they are checking and when they are giving back. They will be able to assess whether the learning outcome is achieved or not. So I hope this session was meaningful for teachers who want to make a good blueprint, first of all, and then to make a good question paper. Thank you, and God bless you all. And season's greetings to everyone. God bless.